So what you're seeing behind me is some rising waters. This started right after the passing of Hurricane Melissa a couple of days ago. This water has been rising steadily for the past about 3 or 4 days and is now proven to be very problematic for persons who decide to traverse this space. And we're seeing where persons are even at risk. The houses are being submerged as we speak. So we want to discourage persons from driving along this roadway.
The water is rising now, which we are not sure exactly what is happening, but we are suspecting that the aquifers are a little bit full coming from Hurricane Melissa. This is not the first that the water is rising. It first rose, I think, in 1977, and I think it rose again in 2002. In 77, when it rose in 77, I think 2 persons died. I just want to make a plea again that there are persons, members of the public, who are coming very close to the water. We did some testing of the water today and waiting on the samples. I've already spoken to the UE Geology Department and expecting them to come in to give us some answers as to what best we can do. But I just want to caution the public again that nobody should try to cross the water. Behind the hose, there are pits, there are graves, there are things. So we are suspecting that the water may be contaminated. There are still motorists trying to maneuver and pass this, and we want to appeal again to say nobody should pass or try to cross the water or try to come in contact with the water.
Since I'm here, I realize that a number of vehicles have passed the barrier, and there are persons are making their way around to the area. What is it that you have to say to those particular persons?
Well, we're having a difficulty because we closed the road from yesterday with the assistance of the Williamsfield police. Somehow persons have ignored the barriers and persons want to come and look. We know people have not seen it, especially the younger generation. As I said, it came up in 1977 and it came up again in 2002. So it has been a number of years, decades since it has come up. So people are maybe a little bit interested in what is happening here, but they want to make sure that the safety of the citizens are number one priority. So we're asking persons to obey the rules to see how best they can stay away from it and exactly see that the authorities can come in to fix whatever the problem is.
All right. So beyond that,
Oh, son, I touch the water, you know. Come, step away from the water and touch the water.
The water just start, springing up from underground. I'd moved out before the storm. Like the evening before, I came back. It was on Friday morning. I saw some people in my backyard. Normal people would come and get some castor beans.
Mm-hmm.
And when I looked closer, there was water up, way up in the backyard, and you could see it ripples, it moving faster than I would normally see it move.
Faster, that means you have observed water moving before?
Right. When it came from underground, and then again, in between it had some, but never had so far as to trouble any of the houses, and like after heavy rains, and then it would go down like the sinkhole couldn't carry all of it.
Oh, so there's a sinkhole in the area?
Yes, there's a sinkhole in the area. If you see that breadfruit tree, you can get down from that, there's a sinkhole like through here. That water would come. We'd have heavy rains and it carry the water, goes away. And, people be all right. Even in the storm, the culverts were full, but they carried the water. Not the after, you could say it was down. But it started coming back. It seems like the underground water level is filled.
So when exactly did you start observing the water rising?
When I noticed that it started when I came Friday morning, because I was out, because we had to move out, as our roof went. So we noticed that it was coming up. And from what others who live nearby saw, it was happening from Thursday night. So we had the water moving up.
All right, so since Friday when the water started to rise, and we are now at Monday.
Yeah.
Tell me what has happened between that time.
Well, between that time, people had to start moving out. About 1, 2, 3, at least from here, going back there. 1, 2, 3, 4. About 4 or 5 houses, people had to move out because water were coming in. Houses being surrounded, so you had to move out before. There are some families at the community center up the road. Had to move out their furniture and stuff. I had moved before and went to my aunt's house in Kendall. So we moved out some stuff, but not everything.
So is this the worst you have seen it?
Yes, this is the worst. The first time it ever happened in the area was in 1977 when they were building this road. That person had lost lives in that one. But this is the worst. From even talking to Elali, this is the worst ever seen it.
Let's speak to the persons who are affected. How many families it would have been affected?
We're thinking anywhere between 10 and 15 homes. Some homes are completely submerged. The water, as I said, it is the highest it has been in all the time that it's rising. It has never risen to this level before. Normally, it has never reached the road. And some of the houses now have reached completely to the ceiling and to the roof. And it has spread a little bit wider across a church and across the road, exactly past the Windalco gate. So this is the first that it has reached this level. I want to make an interesting point. Normally, when this water rises, there's underground explosions sounding like a stone blasting. That is happening over by Williamsfield. That happened immediately after the hurricane. Normally, there's also a water rising in Porous and in Melrose. That is not happening. So we also need to find out exactly if that's the reason why this level of water is here now. Because normally when this water rises, it rises in Melrose and it rises in Porous. And that is not happening now. So the UE team is coming to see how best they can give us some answers. But we're asking the persons again not to come so close to it as possible. And I want to tell the motoring public, do not try to cross it because there's a drain right over there, sir. And it's saturated now and people may get stuck. And if you get stuck, there cannot be or will not be anyone to come and rescue anybody.
In the street beside that live, beside there's a street that this man he sells gas, ice and all of that. That road is cut off. I haven't seen if like his place is flooded, but he's affected because he can go in and out to, deliver gas or people come to buy gas, coal or ice, And he'd supply persons who keep like dance session and so on. So he's greatly affected by this.
So elderly persons with children trying to recover after the hurricane.
Elderly, how much? Yes. The lady who lives like at that greenhouse, there's an elderly person there. Probably here, probably maybe early 60s too. That couple. In terms of children, well, yes, like in my home, we have children, my son, a granddaughter. So it's a mix. But young families in our 50s to probably 30s, probably about 3 elderly persons directly affected. Other than that, for elders, maybe because they are cut off from your home, even this house, there's an elderly lady who lives there. She's affected too. And then there's the street cut off. There are a few elderly people in there. As if you're over 60 now, you're elderly, right? So they may be active. Cut off. Beyond this point, there are a few houses that they can come if they have to go. Say, you want to see somebody's way, if you don't walk in bush, you have to go around Kendall and come around. So yes, there are probably about 10 elderly persons affected by this. If you're not directly but indirectly affected because the road is blocked.
So you said they'd have to wait until the water subsides to see the extent of the damage.
I think so, yes.
So we're saying that the alternate route to get to Spalding or Christiana is if you're coming from the old Melrose Hill, you would make a left at the roundabout that will take you along the Williamsfield main road to the other roundabout that will take you up to Winston Jones Highway. If you're coming from the Christiana side, we encourage you to turn right at the Pick-a Pepper factory and drive along the Kendall main road that will take you onto the Winston Jones Highway, and you can make either left or right depending on the direction you want to go. But I just want to reiterate the point that it is very dangerous. As far as we're seeing now, the road seems to be compromised and persons are at risk if they decide to drive along this road. So I want to implore persons to avoid this section of the roadway.